Hey there, Adrienne, Elise here. Welcome to the GAIA Daily for July 18th through 22nd, 2022. How are you doing? These are incredibly activating times. The astrology is intense and it's message after message after message. So let's explore what's going on here. Still feeling the energy of that very powerful Capricorn new moon, especially because the Sun and Mercury are still close together in Cancer across the way, and now moving into an opposition with Pluto. So Mercury first comes into this opposition with Pluto today and tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, the Sun comes into opposition with Pluto. So this is the Sun and Mercury together. This is a council, a meeting of the minds. Who are we and what are we doing? At the end degrees of Cancer, it's about claiming our authentic humanity. And for SuperNova Souls, coming home. Cancer is about home, family, love, compassion, having a stable base so that you can co-create and move in the world. Something SuperNova Souls haven't been able to come up with for multiple lifetimes, as it seems like everything seems to be working against this, who we are and what we're doing here. But we're realizing that everything that's worked against us is actually, we've agreed to it because we're programmed to fear our own power. Now, this whole dynamic in itself validates the truth of the supernova soul in this massive wealth and abundance. But it's time for us to get out of the trap, And this is exactly what this Sun Mercury opposing Pluto energy is, because Pluto in Capricorn, 27 degrees. Pluto just has a couple more degrees left in Capricorn. It's going to take a retrograde and then next year move into the end degrees and exit for good in 2024 of Capricorn. So Pluto at the end degrees Capricorn, really, really powerful. It's a culmination of the last 20 years of energy in astrology. And it's about breaking contractual arrangements or any structure that is not serving the truth of who we are, right? And so Sun Mercury, it's interesting because it's like super emotional in Cancer, moving all these energies of old grief and just frustration and just like, mother, where are you? This feeling of not being able to find that stable base here to do the work you came here to do. And this is what the astrology is saying. It's the absolute most essential thing for supernova souls and all of humanity, really, of course. But for supernova souls, as we're here to lead the way, to come back into a relationship to Mother, the Mother. Now, the Earth is a manifest form of this goddess of creation. And so for supernova souls, since we have not felt welcome to do our light work and be who we really are for so long, we've developed a disconnect and a deep grief around our mother and our connection to source and feeling loved and held and safe and at home here on earth. We've got to have this. It's kind of this thing of like, get me out of here. Who brought me here? What in the heck is going on? Right. And it's like, oh, you want to get out of here? Well, the only way you're getting out of here is to fully arrive. We literally are hijacking the hologram and creating new earth. We're bringing heaven and home here. And so it's like, well, that sounds pretty good. But then we have to deal with all of these programming and lifetimes where it wasn't okay. This is a big leap. And everything in astrology we've been talking about in this particular time has to do with a massive adjustment to a better timeline. And we've been so far away from our optimal timeline. And yet there's such a powerful group of conscious souls on the planet holding this vibration. And it's like this tension war between what's possible and the way we've always done it. This is what our life feels like right now. I mean, it feels like this is what supernova souls are dealing with. They're like, oh, there's so much more inside of you and there's so much more out there. And you've been playing along with other people's agenda to stay safe, to stay alive, to stay as part of the tribe, to stay accepted. And it's not going to work because we're not here to be accepted. We're here to shine and show what's possible and inspire, be the inspirational leaders SuperNova Souls came here to be. And so that would fit the energy of this new timeline that's trying to land. And so everything in your life right now that's breaking down, I would call it, okay, because this is with Pluto, you're always going to have this, right? Sun opposite, Mercury opposite Pluto, Sun opposite Pluto. It's breaking down the constructs of our suppressed emotions, but also what are those emotions about? And so much it's about where we've been limited and where we've been living the lies of this world and other people to just get through. And it feels really yucky. And this is the activation of the South Node in Scorpio. Just deep and profound feelings of regret. But, underneath those suppressed emotions, the wealth and the power of authentic feeling and authentic living and like claiming this back. But we got to go through this sea of unexpressed, where we've been in denial and not facing reality. And the Pluto transits are like, yeah, reality, that shit is right in your face and in your path and in your way. And oppositions are powerful because it's like the energy of oppositions in astrology are across the way, and say Earth in between, where we are. So there's this kind of tension, but when they're exactly opposite, it's this beautiful mutual reciprocity that can happen. Okay. So this is with our thinking and coming into compassionate thinking and love and care, self-care enough to come back to the garden, to come back home, to come back to the mother, to feel worthy. We've got the sun. Are you that? Are you human? Are you here to live and feel, or are you here to be a robot? We got to make this choice. And it's really black and white, and so, of course, SuperNova Souls, we've talked about how we don't really have a choice because it's the whole reason we bothered going through all we've gone through to be here right now. Sometimes when we feel like we can see so much how we're like trying to bring along humanity, we forget how much of our own karmic path is being activated. That we came here to get over a huge hump, to do what we've been trying to do for lifetimes, this whole evolution. A big leap. And that leap is exactly in alignment with this picture of a more divine, more appropriate timeline that really fits who we are, snapping back into place. Because the Sun and Mercury now at the end degrees of Cancer, but they, they're in this conjunction, and they're still close until through tomorrow. And at those end degrees of Cancer, coming into this opposition, and then though they're going to move over into Leo. And so a huge shift of energy, because actually today we've got Venus moving over into the sign of Cancer. So Venus has just been completing her time in Gemini, trying to claim this empowered voice of the feminine. But at the end degree, or at that 25 mark, coming into a square with Neptune, that's just coming off. And Venus is now moved in to Cancer today. And so this is huge because now we've got the Sun and Mercury and Venus all in Cancer. Very emotional. Now, Venus is the one that really rules our emotions, and it rules our insecurities and our vulnerabilities and these deep and profound places that we have been running from. And so Venus moving over Cancer, more emotions, more movement, more feeling. This is how we do it. It's the only way forward. Because the Sun and Mercury in this council of like, who are we as humans? Are we going to run with this advanced human thing? Or are we going to just give up and become AI? And the Sun and Mercury there, and then moving over and then at the end degrees of Cancer, and then now Venus at the very beginning degrees of Cancer, right? So we're like at the beginning and the end. But Venus is bringing deep feelings of like, why me? It can feel victimization type energy. And as Venus moves into Cancer, it's like, whoa, we got to really slow down and take some time to process these emotions. It's all right now with this North Node Uranus activation in Taurus, it's all about our self-worth for something better. And so that shadowy south node that's getting triggered and hidden places in our psyche, it's all about knowing we deserve, owning it, claiming back the bounty that is ours. This massive level of possibilities that we hold because we have this advanced technology and we've already worked with in our body, and we're learning, we're remembering, coming back into it. So now Venus is saying, oof, time to get real with these emotions and feel into this. Also, it's a beautiful time for self-care and that love and nature and that energy continuing. But Mercury and the Sun, so they've been also in an inconjunct relationship. So they made sextiles with, and we're still feeling this a little bit, first Uranus, then the North Node, beautiful sextiles, and started out with a square with Chiron. This is why this conjunction between Mercury and the Sun is so powerful, because of the dance they're doing. And one of the other transits, very minor, but it seems very important, is this inconjunct relationship between Mercury and the Sun and Saturn in Aquarius. Inconjunct is across the way, one sign over, and it's an adjustment that needs to be made. So in this case, the adjustment that needs to be made has to do with this compassionate thinking and our humanness and coming down to earth of how we really feel, and embodying and incorporating the feminine. You know, it's like when we come home to mother, we feel safe, held, loved, then we can work with creation energy. We can co-create. We can access that magic of feminine creation energy, but not until we feel safe and secure. And so it's saying we've got to come back to mother in order to build our new world, to begin to build in the Saturn and Aquarius, the structures that can replace the broken structures that are falling apart, breaking, crumbling. I mean, Pluto is the destroyer. In this case, it only destroys what's no longer serving. But in this case, it's like personality constructs, who you thought you were, everything in your reality that held it all together for you. And it's like, none of that shit is real or matters. And now what do? Oh, you're SuperNova Soul. Oh, you have come to your point of rapid transformation, and nothing can stop you or it or this evolution. It's quite disconcerting, though, when there's nobody around you going through it in real, like, you know, around you energetically. This is because the power of the electromagnetic field, when we come together and merge, we amplify, you know? And so it's a very elaborate design to keep us all quarantined so we don't amplify. But guess what? Their whole big scheme to take away our freedom and our possibility and our union of fields and our energy together in groups through this whole last couple of years of drama, it didn't work. It didn't work. And now we got to run with it, because we've been shown that coming together closer than 6 feet apart is incredibly crucial for this activating time. And so, but it's this strange, very alone psychic quarantine that SuperNova Souls have been put in. The more you activate into your potential, the more these structures that have been put into place, who knows when or where these, it could be actual implants, you know, that literally contract and restrict the movement within the consciousness and the physical organs of higher intuitive knowing, our pineal gland, and all that makes that all happen. Our ability to see in pictures, our ability to have intellectual and compassionate thinking together, our ability to co-create. And so as you're coming into this activation, it can feel so incredibly lonely and scary, and your life's falling apart. Nobody else seems to notice what's happening. And that's because you are playing in a whole different field. And then we shift that anxiety, fear programming. We just shift it over to excitement and start to work in these energies and give yourself full permission. And the minute you're around somebody that can't go there with you, hey, gotta go. And and be available for this and for you and your process. It's really, really important. It's interesting because we're like having this huge, all these feelings and all this grief and all this just deep energies moving. On the other hand, what that have to do with relationships and love and breaking ourselves apart and open. But it's also a very time to make sure that you're only living your own truth right now. It's a hugely distracting time. There's like a picture of these kind of like the last gasp effort of this dark monster, that spiritual war that's been going on, and it's like trying to creep in when you least expect it and distract you. And it'll try to move you in a way that seems like it's an alignment, but being present in the moment, it'll quickly become clear. But it's like there's snakes in the grass, right? Shit's not, so it's like unconscious forces have not been fully revealed, and so they're having a heyday, right? But wow, we're having this massive activation and timeline because we've got Uranus and the North Node coming together. This is the big epic culmination of the 2022 astrology. And then you put Mars in the mix. Mars is now in Taurus and coming into a conjunction at the end of the month. Now, this is a very powerful time, so let's talk this through. This week, we're feeling the breakdown, breaking open, total shattering of the structures that aren't serving us anymore, on all levels of our life, but particularly around our identity constructs. Not very fun. But then we're going to move into this other energy. And so tomorrow, Mercury moves into Leo. And then on Friday, the sun moves into Leo. So what that means is that the sun and Mercury are now going to be coming into a trine with Jupiter. Jupiter's at 8 degrees, and this is this perfect storm at the end of July and into August, because when Mercury tomorrow, as this energy begins to move, Mercury and the sun, they complete this time in Cancer. Venus is going to take up the reins and go into the deep nitty-gritty feelings and movement, and inviting us back home to a motherly relationship with our planet and our world. But the sun and Mercury moving into Leo means they're coming into that trine with Jupiter. And Jupiter is about expanding into our true living, our true potential, taking a hold of life and claiming back our power on all levels. But Jupiter's just poised there at 8 degrees, about to turn retrograde. So it's like, push as far as we can go. And now we're up against the wall and the gate still won't open. And and the gates don't open because we have not completed all those things that need to get addressed. And that's what this period of time is about. Jupiter's going to retrograde back into Pisces and give us an opportunity to wrap up all that grief from the Piscean age and get ready to launch back into Aries, anchoring in this divine timeline of Christ consciousness and getting on with the next chapter. So the next 5 months, mop up in your life. It's like you're going around claiming back pieces of yourself, getting rid of what's not yours, and cleaning house and recapitulating. Because it's like, it feels like what happened is that we got kind of pushed or jarred off of a timeline. It was like there was interference. And now that we're trying to make this big leap back onto a more appropriate timeline, there's all these things that need to happen to tick the boxes, right? Because this is what time is. Time is a complete different illusion from what we think it is. And the only thing, time is important because we use it in this world to meet up, right? It's like a necessary tool. But it's actually more fluid. It doesn't exist in a line. It's like we took this spiral circle and we made it into a line and tried to mark it evenly. And it just doesn't work that way. But it does seem like timeline and time energies, is this a mystery? I don't know. It's just information that comes through and it doesn't always make sense right away. So you guys can help me figure it out. But it's like there's these markers, right? And so when you get to the marker, it's like there's possibilities at that marker. And then it's like a fulfillment. And so look for those in your life, because when you can be really conscious of those, that's when you can have the energy to change your trajectory. It's like there's almost like a momentum energy for change to go in a different direction. And that's exactly what's going on. Zigs and zags as we just try to find our way. But we missed this piece over here because it was like I got off that timeline and I got distracted, and I got to go way over here and get that piece before I can come back and get this piece. But it does feel like, and maybe this is why this time's so crucial for Supernova Souls, because from the beginning, we've been getting this message that Supernova Souls, they don't even know what they're doing it a lot of times, but incredibly talented at operating in multiple levels of dimensional frequency, multiple worlds. This is why your life's been so hard. But think about this. Now the message is like, yeah, you can't go anywhere or do anything or build anything until you actually come here. And wouldn't that feel kind of good to be supported in your work, to have the people and the places and the energies that can support your co-creation, and to feel at home and loved here in this experience? And this is what we're claiming. And a huge bloom of this over this last couple of days before the sun moves over into Leo. Then it's like, we're going to have a memory. It's like a flash of light. And that seems to be this. Okay, so the astrology of this year is a huge activation for Supernova Souls that have any astrology, but especially important elements at the beginning degrees of fire signs. If you have stuff, these are the impulse. This is the movement of the fire, the movement of the creation. You're here to move forward creation and work with these energies. And you might not even know this about yourself, but the activation is still happening. And so just kind of look out for that. Maybe check your chart and see, because let's see. The trine with Jupiter is going to be very beautiful and very expansive, and so much possibility. And the sun trines Jupiter. Let's see. Okay, on the 1st of August, and Mercury trines Jupiter on the 23rd, 24th, just this next weekend coming up. So that'll begin this energy. And trines are like magic, and it's fire magic. It's triangle. That's creation. And so we're moving into our co-creative faculties. So that's what this time is about. But look this, we've got a Leo new moon. And the Leo new moon happens at 5 degrees Leo, 39 minutes. And that is going to be on Thursday, July 28th. So look for an activation on that day, Thursday, July 28th. That'll probably be in the morning because it happens around noon Mountain Time. So that's at 5 degrees, 39 minutes. It's right there. Jupiter's at 8 degrees. So in turning retrograde, the same day as this full moon. Wait, when does Jupiter turn retrograde again? On the 29th. Yeah. So the new moon's on the 28th, Jupiter retrograde. So very powerful, because just as the moon comes into exact trine with Jupiter, Jupiter is turning, and the sun will be making that trine as well. And so right there, as we move into August, very powerful energy. And we've got all this impetus of the early degrees of fire signs getting super activated. The sun and Mercury moving along now. They came into council. They're breaking down this, everything in the way, and they're ready to fuel the fires of the creation energy again and take back our power and live. And now it's like, all right, Jupiter made it this far. Now we know, after this week of astrology and after this timeline alignment of the next couple of weeks, now we know what we need to do. I mean, I'd say the next month, from mid-July to mid-August, woo! And it's like, but then after that, it's like, now we know what we need to do, and kind of go systematically clean up, claim back, sort through, and get ready for the big launch and the big leap that's coming. And because, so we've got that Leo new moon on the 28th, And that's also the same time that Venus and Mars and Mercury and the sun, all in very powerful, it's like another energy of every planet on deck, every element is on deck. We're all working together on this one, right? It's like all hands. We need everybody. Maybe that's part of this. It's like, because there's a whole bunch of supernova souls that have no idea they're supernova souls. And they're just like, they can't figure out why their life is a complete mess, and they're like incapable of figuring out. And so it's like a massive awakening happening for supernova souls. So the Leo, so it starts really this week. We've got Mercury moving into Leo, and then Sun moving into Leo Friday. Next week, that Leo new moon. And now Venus is going to be coming into a conjunction with Black Moon Lilith in Cancer. And Venus rules our feminine, and Black Moon Lilith is the dark side of the feminine. In Cancer, it's that part of ourselves that does not feel worthy of being loved and safe and at home. And we've got to clean that out, really powerful. And then Venus is going to come into a square with Chiron. And so that will be on the 1st of August. The 1st of August is also when we have Mars joining Uranus in the North Node, activating this new way forward on this higher vibrational frequency that's embodied, right? Bringing heaven and home here on a cellular level. And so Mars, Uranus, North Node, timeline activation, total new way forward. Of course, Mars is opposing the South Node in Scorpio, and Mars is a ruler of Scorpio. So we're going to be cleaning up that mud. We're moving the mud, and it's going to make a mess. And then we got to clean it up, but if we don't move it, it'll just stay stuck there and keeping us from an authentic experience. So on the 1st, Venus comes into that square with Chiron. And so the 1st is very powerful. Sun in trine to Jupiter, Mars, Uranus, North Node in Taurus. Venus conjunct Black Moon Lilith, and then coming into square with Chiron. Mercury is going to cruise through Leo and will come into a square with Saturn at the end of the month. How do we manifest and build in the new energy? And that's kind of interesting. That's happening exactly right there at the end of July, beginning of August too. So we're really like careening in, and it's kind of like, it feels like, are you going to make the leap? Are you going to make the jump? Are you going to is your timing going to be right on? Like, say the pole vault, you got to really have your timing on. You got to make sure that last step is exactly where you want it to be for the perfect launch and just the right direction. And that's what this next week is about as we prepare for this massive activation. It could be that in a month's time, in the middle of August, really, it's not going to be we're going to feel Uranus and the North Node. They'll be together into September and close all the way through, and Uranus will take a retrograde in August. So all of August, if you just look at maybe a month from now, you could be a very, very, very different person in a very different place. I mean, not that you're different, but just more true to who you are, really, in this glorious and amazing discovery of this wealth that we have inside of us that we didn't even know we had, which has been causing us all kinds of problems for lifetimes. And now we get to harness it and use it and have fun and play and co-create. And now we got to clean up and clean house and get ready to make that, take just the right steps at just the right time in those markers. This is interesting because with the spiral of time, there's astrological, if you look at the spiral of time in the way the Mayans see it, leading up to 2012, it was like the years up to 2012, there was these astrological events that would happen. And then all of a sudden, this is how I got into professionally bringing forward astrology. It's like that period of time of really delving into these mysteries. But it was like a spiral energy where the astrology and activations are getting closer and closer together, right? So those crucial steps in that spiral, those markers that we talked about of time, those are closer and closer together. And maybe that's part of the stress I'm feeling in SuperNova Souls with the Jupiter and Aries, is this feeling like, I'm not going to miss it this time. It's like just this FOMO, fear of missing out. Like you've been held back for so long. And it's like, let me at it, and it's like, that's that feeling of Jupiter and Aries. And it's like, oh, no, not yet. But anyway, so look for these markers and this picture of getting ready to make that leap and just placing yourself by being present in that perfect position over, as we prepare. A lot of that has to do with this breakdown of whatever's not serving over this week. And we'll see how things look as we move into this massively activated time and Leo season. And so really powerful fire sign activation with Leo and Aries, the early degrees of Leo and Aries. And then we've got Mars, Uranus North Node, lots of Earth energy and helping us ground out and stay real and keep oriented to where we are. Maybe this is a big problem with SuperNova Souls, since they don't feel home, they don't feel oriented here. And how can you co-create if you don't know where you're at and you can't be present? Because you don't even realize you have these multiple dimensional abilities. So you're all over the place. And that's a message we've had again and again. Like, we got to do it from here. Time to bring, it was appropriate to exist on multiple dimensional frequencies throughout this evolution. But at this point in time, we have to bring all of our consciousness to this plane. It's the only way we can do our work. So come home here, bring heaven and home to the earth. So Venus is going to be holding down the water energy as moves into, she's Cancer now, and will be also so very powerful activation of the feminine and healing of the feminine wounds. And Venus will be trining up. Not too long after that square with Chiron, Venus will trine up with the South Node. That'll be really sweet resolution. And that happens on the 2nd of August. So bam, 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 it's all happening at one time. And where are you in all of this? Are you over here, over there, living everybody else's bidding, living the conditional reality, living the lies and the rules and the prison? You have been in prison as an advanced soul, and now it's time to arrive. And maybe we've been waiting around for the mother to come and say, hey, it's okay, it's safe, come on, come play, But we have to own it. We have to claim it. We have to say, yeah, all that shit that's been working against me for lifetimes, I agree to that. And I say, no, I don't need it anymore. Because I can handle myself. And I can handle my power. And I can handle my own way forward. SuperNova Souls are constant people pleasers, and they're going to go along with the program to keep the peace. No, you are the peace and you are the program, right? Those GAIA codes getting activated in your field. The memory. We're remembering. And that's really what all these tools are about, this astrology. And so when the astrology comes together with these messages all at once, it's like, pay attention, be present. It's a marker. So thank you so much for being with me, SuperNova Soul, through this journey, and love and prayers. Let's stay together, connected through this big week of change and growth, and clearly addressing those structures that we've been allowing to keep us small, and be brave and present for what's happening. And it's hard because I can feel like some of the grief coming up for SuperNova Souls is this like massive invalidation that you've had at every turn, where the people around you, literally energies working through them over lifetimes to invalidate your worldview and keep you in the narrow, confined place, trauma programming. Make sure that you stay in your lane and in your box to avoid the next trauma. And we're healing it now, right? The trauma programming works as long as that trauma is still there. And this astrology says, get the F rid of it. Pack that shit up and take it to the dump. So here we are. Are you ready to clean house? Are you ready to really move? Are you ready to claim that authentic experience together as we co-create, move into this next phase? So thank you so much for being with me, and have a wonderful week, and look out for that. Keep in mind that Leo new moon energy and activation next week, Thursday. So have a wonderful week. I love you so much. And thank you so much for being with me, SuperNova Souls. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.